So let's look at this programming lab part one. What we've done is we've kind of taken our programming sheet and we're going to break this down into three simple little labs. Lab part one, lab part two, and lab part three. All right. For the build, we had to build a little contraption. No photos here, that's fine. That does these tasks. And what I have here is I kind of built most of the contraption in advance. So I go step right here real quick. We'll kind of go over the next part of the lab. So what I have is I built a little base plate. I added onto it, parts fall off. This is the motor, and it plugs into, the motor plugs into this box up here. This is called a Cortex. Cortex can contain up to 10 different motors plus 10 different switches and 10 different sensors. So we can have those until light, until dark detectors. We can have the until bump, until touch switches, and 10 motors. Okay, so I have a motor hooked up to a plate. I'll plug the motor in, put my gears on, and I also need to have a battery. Battery powers everything. And then we'll download the program we're going to create here to our robot and have it run. Alright, so parts are falling off. I'm putting a small little spacer on the axle. Put the gear on. Throw an axle collar on. Tighten that so it doesn't fall off as we're driving or moving. Okay, so to get it just kindergarten tight so it don't bust anything. Then we have rest of components. So plug this next axle in. Oops. Need a spacer. Then goes the gear. Then goes the axle collar. Kind of get those somewhat tight. And kindergarten tight. And the final one goes axle, gear. It's got a built-in spacer on it, as you'll see back to school. And that off the ground. Uh-oh, that's rubbing here. So I'll skip this one for now. That one's rubbing. That's fine. Because my motor, where's the camera? Camera. There it is. The camera, it's a 3-prong motor. It must go into a 3-prong port. I'm going to pick port number 2. Motor port number 2. Why that's important, you'll see in a few minutes. Battery, that plugs into my battery port. Only have one of those. So I plug the battery in. Alright, motor's in, battery's in. Let's get coding. So in the background here, I have the same program we used for the previous video. Here it is. But I want to do a new program. Alright. Something's mad. Why are you so mad? Who knows? Come back. Okay. So I said motor's in port number 2. Why is that important? We'll see here. I gotta kind of declare who I have available to run, to go, to do. Think of it like in a football team. If you ever heard they're going to declare an eligible receiver, the team knows, hey, watch 88. He's not going to block. He could go up for a pass. So you got to declare eligible receivers. Here too, I got to declare my motor as an eligible guy to run. Top of my screen, under Motors Sensor Setup, I got to go to the Motors tab. My motor is in port number 2. And I'm going to call my motor Steve. Okay. The motors we use here are the VEX 393 motors. And I'm going to say OK to it. And we got it. So you notice now on my programming screen, we gained some more information. Alright. So here, line 1 now says, here's a program configuration. You programmed a motor. The motor is in port number 2. The motor's name is Steve. And and the motor is this VEX 393 motor. So this came for free. Why? Because when I declared this is an eligible component, it had notified the program. Okay? So that you kind of get for free. Program configuration. This green line, don't worry about. This we can delete off. No worries there now. Task main. This is kind of like the cover of a book. The book's cover. It says, hey, from page 1 to page end, here's the story of my programming. So when you program, you got to program between these little brackets. So I have line 4 says task main, line 5 says bracket, I have line 6, 7, 8 available. I can always go more by hitting enter, 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 or less, back. Doesn't matter how many lines of code you have, doesn't matter what line you're on, this is kind of for your benefit. So you know, hey, my line 4 is my line 5. Okay, so I got my programming ready to go. Not really. What's next? Let's look. Alright, so the sheet says you need to program the coding for the lab so the motor will start and run at a speed of 100 for 5 seconds. Hold on there. The motor will start and run at a speed of 100. Start and run at a speed of 100. Let's do that first. So I want to have my line number 6 be a movement of start motor, click, drag, drop. Start motor. My motor, it wants to know, hey, what's your motor's name? Oops, back. My motor's name is Steve. Okay. Start and run at a speed of what? 100. 100. Okay. That line's done, right? Start motor. Who? Steve. How fast? 100. See that semicolon? And that came for free. That tells the program that this is the end of this code. The code ends here. Here's the next line of code. What was next? Next said it's going to run for 5 seconds. 5 seconds. That's going to be a wait code. I gotta bring a wait code in of wait time. Click, drag, drop. How long? Yep, 5 seconds. So wait for 5. And notice here too that the semicolon came. So motor starts. Steve turns on at this speed for that long. What's next? Next says after 5 seconds have elapsed, the motor is to stop, program is to end. Okay. So 5 seconds. The motor is going to stop. Click, drag, drop. Who stops? For motor port, I could put. Oops, got there. I could put port number 2, but I'll use Steve. Okay, so here we have. I declared a motor eligible in port 2, named Steve. Task main is the cover. Here's the cover of our program, kind of, sort of. This don't change, don't move, don't edit, don't delete, leave it alone. This, again, don't change, don't edit, don't move. This says, here comes the program. The first line of code is here, start motor. Second line is here, let the motor run. Third line is stop. These are fine to be extra blanks if you want. If you don't like them, you can go get rid of, and bring it up tight if you want. That's fine. Okay. After the program is written, we must do I call it a spell checker, which is called compile program. This checks for errors. I click it, it may say, hey, do you want to save this? I'm going to say not yet. You want to save it? I'm going to say again, not yet. It's very persistent. And when it's all said and done, if it found an error, it would put it down here. Here it says the file has been compiled on the 31st. Looks good. What's next? Let's try to run the program. We use a regular USB cable. It's a USB to USB cable. This plugs into my robot. I'll power my robot on. Okay. plug that other end into my little computer. And I press the old download to robot button. Do you want to save it? I'm going to say not yet. It's very persistent. Save it? No. So now it takes my program, downloads to the robot. It is now there, ready to go. Okay, here we go. When I push start, it's going to read my code lines. It's going to read. It's going to do this task, wait for 5, and then power off. You ready? Watch the gears. Here we go. Did we count? Watch it again. I push start. So power's on, runs for 5, power's off. Excellent. Close that down. So your task now is to, for the worksheet, your task is, it says, given the information below, write the code necessary to run the program. So here's your program configuration. You got a motor, yours is in port 1, it's also called Steve. Here's your task main, your braces. So you would write the code that we just used to build this project. But I want to make sure, sometimes the font it gets weird. See, this is red. This should be black. That's fine. So what line goes here? Some kind of start motor command. What goes here? A wait command. You might need another line or two of space. Get out of there. Space for things to happen. Okay. So you write the code. Where's the code at? If you memorize it, awesome. Run with it. If you didn't memorize it, where's the code at? It's back in the video. Back a few seconds. So scroll backwards. On the spot where we use the programming, listen to the narrator again, watch the code, write the code, add it here, then submit it. But again, anyone can just go here to copy the code and be done. But what are you going to learn? Probably not much. You come to school on that May 5th, we begin programming, you're going to struggle. So I'd recommend don't just copy it down, but know why we use what we use. Okay, know the configuration. Know that the start motor command needs the port name and the speed. Know that the wait command is a time. The stop command needs a name. Okay, so what you're going to do again is fill this paperwork out and then submit for grading. If you have questions, let me know.